Om Shanti. This is the Sakar Murli of 9 of December 2023. Essence. Sweet children, have true love for the one Father, and He will take you back home with Him. He will liberate you from all sins and make you into the masters of heaven. Question. What main dharana do you need in order to keep yourself happy? Answer. Only when you know how to have a spiritual conversation with yourself can you remain happy. Let there not be attachment to anything. Your stomach only needs 2 chapatis, that's all. Only when you have the dharana of an attitude that is free from attraction can you remain cheerful. Churn knowledge and keep yourselves happy. You are karma yogis. While working, while performing your household chores, and while you eat, remember the Father. Let the discuss of self realization continue to spin in your intellects, and you will have a lot of happiness. Song. Neither will he be separated from me, nor will the love in my heart disappear. Om Shanti. You sweetest children heard the song. This is the spiritual love of you children, of you souls, for your Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. Only you Brahmin children have this spiritual love. You have the faith that you are souls. However, when they say that each soul is the Supreme Soul, whom would the soul love? It is the children who love their Father. It isn't the Father's love for the Father. You understand that you souls are now connecting your love to the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. It is this love that will take you back with Him. You have spiritual love for the Father, and so you also have to face difficulties. The whole world and members of your family all become your enemies. It has been explained to you children that the Ganges is not the purifier. People go to the banks of the river Ganges and the river Jamuna with the thought of becoming pure. They go and sit at Haridwar and at Kasi. Those are the two main places. They say, O purifier Ganges, however, that Ganges does not hear them. It is only the one purifier Father who hears them. You are now sitting in front of that Father. The Father is telling you how you can become pure. The water of the Ganges does not say, constantly remember me alone and your sins will be absolved. The Father says, I promise you that if you remember me, the Father, your sins will be absolved. I guarantee this. The Ganges cannot guarantee this. Just as people have been burning an effigy of Ravan every year, but he doesn't die, in the same way people have been bathing in the Ganges for birth after birth, but no one has become pure from impure. They go to bath there again and again. Once they have become pure, why do they go to bath there again? There are so many melas. No one would call those meetings of souls with the Supreme Soul. On the path of devotion, there are huge crowds at the melas. You now connect your intellects in yoga to the Father. You souls know that you have become His lovers. It is souls who remember God through their bodies. The Father says, I am also teaching you through this body. This is why you constantly have to continue to remember Baba. When you say Baba, you would definitely remember heaven and also your home, the land of liberation. Liberation is also called the land of nirvana. This world is corporeal. How could this corporeal world's population increase unless souls came here? Souls come from the incorporeal world, and this human world continues to increase. Some think that it continues to increase naturally. You know that souls come here and that the world population continues to increase. You children now know that the sweet home is the land of peace. Many people like peace. You know that the land of peace is your sweet godfatherly home. When the people of Bharat are returning from abroad, they say we are going back to our sweet home of Bharat. They love the land where they took birth. They say, take us back to our sweet home of Bharat. Okay, when someone dies and that soul has departed, they bring the body here and finish it off here. They believe that the soil of Bharat should come back to Bharat. When Nehru died, they scattered his ashes in so many places. They scattered them on the fields. They thought that the land would become fertile. However, no matter how much respect someone gives to anything, it definitely has to become old. They are facing so many difficulties. They don't know the Father. You know the Father and are claiming the inheritance from Him. Therefore, your heart's desire is to make your friends and relatives into residents of heaven too. When you tell them to become residents of heaven, they say, do you want to kill us? You children know that you are becoming the elevated residents of heaven by following Srimad. It takes a lot of effort to become soul conscious. You repeatedly become body conscious and forget the Father. You are now sitting personally in front of Him. You know that you have come to your Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. Baba asks, have we met before? So you instantly reply, yes, Baba, we met 5,000 years ago. These words of yours are incognito. No one else can copy you. Although some adopt the costume of Krishna and say that they have come to establish heaven, they cannot say that they also established heaven 5,000 years ago. You alone say, Baba, we also came 5,000 years ago to claim our inheritance from you. You taught us Raj Yoga. You souls say this through your bodies. Have the faith that you are souls and remember the Father. There is no question of omnipresence in this. They don't even understand that the Brahma, through whom the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, creates the world, would surely have to exist in a corporeal form. The purifier Father comes and makes you into pure deities. The Father alone is the creator of heaven. Therefore, surely human beings are needed in heaven. Baba comes and shows you the gates to heaven. You try to change the residents of hell into residents of heaven. If you told an eminent person directly that he was an impure resident of hell, he would get very upset. You now know that you are coming out of hell and going to heaven. We are now residents of the confluence age. Having renounced our bodies, we souls are now going to Baba's home with Baba. This is your spiritual pilgrimage. You have to stay in remembrance of Baba. You understand that the pilgrimage will continue for as long as your body remains. You also have to perform actions. Although you may eat, drink, and cook, you definitely have to remember the Father whenever you have time. While you are at work, when you see that you have some time, sit in remembrance of Baba. There is a lot of income in that. When traveling by train, you don't have to do anything at that time. So while sitting there, continue to remember Baba. We are now going to Baba. Baba has come from the Supreme Abode to take us back. Acha, when you are cooking for your family in the evening, Remind one another of Baba. Come and we will sit in remembrance of our Father. Tell these points to one another. We are spinners of the discus of self realization. Baba says you are also lighthouses who show the path to others. You are lighthouses while sitting, standing and moving around. You have liberation in one eye and liberation in life in the other eye. Heaven used to be here, but it is not here now. This is now hell. Baba is once again establishing heaven. The Father says, I am making you into very beautiful flowers. You will then become empresses and queens. You mustn't become a coarse, hand spun cotton queen. You have to become 16 celestial degrees full, not 14 degrees. Sri Krishna was 16 celestial degrees. You children used to have so many fasts and disciplines, etc. You even used to stay without water for 7 days. You used to make so much effort, but you did not go to the land of Sri Krishna. You are now making effort to go to the land of Krishna, heaven, in a practical way. Because Sri Krishna has been shown in the copper rays, no one knows about heaven. In fact, you now know what the 7 days mean. You must not remember anyone except the Father, but there is no question of doing without water, etc. By remembering Baba, you will go to Baba. The Father will then send you to heaven. You starved yourselves by observing fast and disciplines, etc. for so many days. You made so much effort for birth after birth. There was no attainment through any of that. You have now been liberated from all of that and brought onto the path of salvation. You say, Baba, we met you in the previous cycle too and claimed the inheritance of heaven. The Father says, continue to take advice at every step. Ask about all your accounts and Baba will continue to advise you. You may continue with your business, etc. And even then, Baba will continue to advise you. When he sees that you have been caught up in your business too much, he will advise you. Why do you beat your head so much with that? How long are you going to live for? The stomach only asks for 1 or 2 chapatis. The wealthy as well as the poor can live on that. Wealthy people eat very well and yet they still become ill. Look how strong the natives are, and look what they eat. They work so hard, they remain happy in their hearts. Therefore, at this time, you should renounce all other desires. Take 2 chapatis, and your stomach will become full. That's all. You then have to remember the Father. You are spiritual children and have become lovers of the Beloved, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. The more you remember Baba, the more your sins will be absolved. And you will go and meet the one whom you remember. Some of you want to have visions. Baba says you can have visions while sitting at home. By remembering, say Baba, you will have visions of paradise and you will see the land of Sri Krishna. Here, Baba makes you into the masters of paradise. It is not a question of just visions. Remember me because I have come to take you back. You have to remember, say Baba. He alone is the one who makes you into the masters of the land of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna would not make you that. By remembering, say Baba, you receive the sovereignty of paradise. He has now come from the supreme abode. He definitely did come at some time. That is why the temples have been built as memorials. There is the Shiva temple and people also celebrate the birthday of Shiva. But no one knows how he comes in Bharat. He doesn't enter the body of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna only exists in the golden age. There is a very big temple to Shiva, but the temple to Sri Krishna is not as big. The Somanath temple is so big. In the Sri Krishna temple, they show Radhe and Krishna wearing many ornaments. You will never see ornaments in the Shiva temple. Shiv Baba doesn't reside in huge palaces. It is Sri Krishna who resides there. Baba says, I don't stay in palaces. However, on the path of devotion, they built such a grand temple studded with diamonds and jewels. It was those who received the inheritance of heaven from Shiv Baba who built such a big temple. They built such a big temple as a memorial. Therefore, they themselves would also have been so wealthy. Very good temples are still being built. In Bombay, there is a temple to Shiva, Baburi Nath, brackets Lord who changes thorns into flowers. There is a temple to Lakshmi and Narayan in Madhav Bagh. The father says, I make you into the masters of heaven, and so you build such a big temple on the path of devotion, and look how I am now sitting in a hut. Your name will also be glorified. You know that your temple will be built again. It is a wonder that there are also many temples to our father Shiva. Those who built the Somanath temple would have been so wealthy. He is now so incognito that no one knows him. You now know how the temple to Shiv Baba will have to be built once again. You will then have gone on to the path of devotion. Mama and Baba, who become the most worthy of worship and the masters of paradise, will then become the first worshippers, and they will be the ones who have to build the temple. So they would say in their hearts, we will become worshippers and build the temples. By entertaining yourselves with these things, you will forget the old world. You should talk about such things among yourselves, and you will remain very happy. Each of you should have a spiritual conversation with yourself. The Supreme Spirit sits here and consoles you souls. He makes you cheerful with this knowledge. You say we have come once again after a cycle. We have met the Father many times and received our inheritance. You should talk among yourselves in this way. Then you are also karma yogis. You may prepare food at home. You will remain happy. You know the history and geography of 84 births. We have now become Brahmins and will then become deities and rule the kingdom. From being worthy of worship, we will become worshippers and then build palaces, etc. Continue to relate your own history and geography. How our history and geography continues around the cycle is called turning the discus of self-realization. You are the ones who know all three worlds. The eye of knowledge of each of you has now opened. By remembering this cycle, you should have a lot of happiness. The Father too is pleased. You are now engaged in doing service. Temples to you, servers, will be built later on the path of devotion. I have now come to serve you, children. I have come to give you the full inheritance of heaven. The more effort each of you makes, the more you will accordingly become a master of heaven. Acha, to the sweetest, beloved, long lost, and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Pap Dada. The spiritual father says Namaste to the spiritual children, and the spiritual children say Namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for Dharana number 1. While walking and moving around, be lighthouses and show everyone the path. Renounce all desires and stay in remembrance of the one Father. Continue to take advice from the Father. Second, entertain yourselves with things of this knowledge. Talk to yourself, spin the discus of self-realization, and remain constantly cheerful. Blessing, may you become an embodiment of happiness and cry proof by drying your tank of tears with the heat of yoga. Some children say that so and so is causing them sorrow and that this is why they cry. However, even if that one causes it, why do you take it? That one's duty is to cause it, but you don't have to take it. Children of God should never cry. Crying has stopped, both the crying with the eyes and the crying in the mind. Where there is happiness, there will not be any crying. Tears of happiness or love are not called crying. So dry your tank of tears with the heart of yoga, with the heat of yoga, and consider obstacles to be games and you will become an embodiment of happiness. Slogan: when you have the practice of playing your part as a detached observer, you will then remain beyond tension and automatically pay attention. Slogan: when you have the practice of playing your part as a detached observer, you will then remain beyond tension and automatically pay attention. Om.